Hi, I'm Michael Siddle.
And I'm Nik Nanos.
Nick, kind of an exciting night last night, the first official English language debate. And we were just talking about it before we hit the record button on the show. And you had some very interesting pollster trivia.
Yes, I don't know if it's pollster trivia, it's Nanos polling trivia.
Mhm.
So, Michael, as you know, we've done nightly tracking since 2004. And what has happened in every election, and the Nanos team watches for this to come back, is after the English debate, someone outside of Quebec says that they're going to vote or want to vote for the Bloc Québécois, even though they don't have the
Yeah,
chance. Exactly. It's kind of like
yeah.
a bizarro moment. And every single election, we watch to see whether this continues. And the streak continues. Last night, while we were doing our regular nightly tracking, someone was watching the debate. They got a call from Nanos while they're watching the debate. They're
Mhm.
outside of the province of Quebec. And there was one Canadian that said, I'd like to vote for the Bloc Québécois. So the streak continues. And it speaks to the fact that, for the Bloc leader, yes, they are nationalists. Yes, they are separatists. Yes, they believe Quebec is a nation. But many times it's their no nonsense, direct demeanor that appeals, at least to someone outside of Quebec. And they usually say, I wish that person had been the leader of some other party because I like the way they say stuff. So there you go. The streak continues, Mike.
That's amazing. So where are we in our nightly tracking numbers today?
Well, the latest CTV Globe Nanos tracking has the Conservatives first at 33.3%, the Liberals at 31.3%, NDP 19.2%, Bloc at 6.6%, PPC, People's Party at 5.0%, not in the debate, and Green Party of Canada at 3.8% nationally.
Wow. So the Conservatives and Liberals still locked in a tight race. And how are they in the preferred PM numbers?
Well, still pretty close on the preferred prime minister tracking. Trudeau's at 30 straight up. O'Toole's at 27.1, Singh 19.9, Bernier 5.5, Blanchet at 3.2, Enemy Paul at 1.6, and 12.6 Canadians still are unsure who they would prefer as prime minister.
That's a big number of undecideds, I guess, and which speaks to how important the only English language debate it was, which was last night for us. I want to go through the performances of the leaders, Nick, but we're going to do something different this time. We're going to go in reverse order in terms of the number of seats they have in the House of Commons. So we're going to start with Green Party leader Enemy Paul, her first English language debate. So how did she do?
I thought Enemy Paul actually did quite well. She was very authentic. She managed to connect a lot of what she said to her personal life, which means that not only was she able to kind of advance Green Party policy and her vision, she was able at the same time to find herself, to talk about her parents, to talk about her grandparents, right? Talk about her lived and family experience. I thought that was a very clever strategy. And I thought generally she did a good job in the debate, answered the questions, and was able to convey to Canadians not just her values, but who she was as an individual.
I noticed that. I mean, she did tie a lot of her points to personal anecdotes about family members. Just to show Canadians who she was. What about Yves-Francois Blanchet, the Bloc leader?
Well, if Francois Blanchet's got the easiest job in town, right? And one of the times, even during the debate, when the question said, if you're prime minister, he said, hold on, I'm not interested in being prime minister. So it's kind of fun. He's kind of like your French uncle. You don't know what they're going to say. You might not agree with what they're going to say, but they're definitely entertaining and engaging. And I think that's right. How Blanchet kind of made out last night. He had a couple really good exchanges with Justin Trudeau, and you know what? It was a carry forward from the night before in the French debate, where there was a bit of a testy exchange between those two party leaders. I thought Blanchet did very well at staking out his territory. He basically said he's there to advocate for Quebec. He doesn't believe that the federal government should be meddling in the affairs of provinces. It's probably why some people like that particular view. And he was pretty relaxed because in the English debate is just gravy for him, right? Mm-hmm. The big show was the French debate the night before.
And let's move on to NDP leader Jagmeet Singh.
I thought Jagmeet Singh did a really good job last night at engaging both the front runners, because he was focused clearly on Justin Trudeau and Erin O'Toole. Singh's a great. He's great at this. He's very relaxed. He's very natural. His personality comes through. It explains why his likability scores in a lot of the research that's out there are so strong. So I thought he had a pretty decent showing. Although I'd like to say maybe there wasn't as much of a spark. Perhaps it was because of the format, but pretty solid performance from Jagmeet Singh.
And now we've got Conservative leader Erin O'Toole.
I thought Erin O'Toole, it looked like, and I think he was focused on trying to look prime ministerial, and not to be emotional, not to be hyper, not to kind of just to be fairly even in his demeanor. And he was completely, for anyone who's a communications expert, he was completely on message all the time. It's pretty clear that he's very disciplined in terms of his ability to answer questions and also to pivot back to deliver the message that he wants to deliver. So I'd like to say that he did pretty well in the debate. He was very focused. He was very disciplined, I think, and workmanlike, I would say, in his approach. Did he inspire? Did anybody inspire? I don't think so, but pretty good showing from Erin O'Toole.
Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, a lot at stake for him in this debate as he's locked in a tight race with Erin O'Toole. How did he do?
Well, I thought he did okay considering the circumstances. And, for any incumbent that's in a debate, it's a tough spot because you have to defend your record. So the thing is for Justin Trudeau, he had to start the debate by defending why he called the election and was hammered on that front. And then they had to continually defend what he was doing in Afghanistan, his energy policy, his environmental policy, his policy to help affordable living, all that kind of stuff. So usually for the incumbent, it's to get through without being bruised too much. I thought Justin Trudeau also did reasonably well. A bit of a fast talker compared to some of the others, which probably showed that he really wanted to get in there. But he did. I think he did what he had to do, and he was on the defensive because he is the incumbent, and was on the receiving end of a lot of barbs.
Speaking of the past 6 years of his government, I noticed Enemy Paul and Erin O'Toole both brought up Jody Wilson-Raybould to use to attack him. That was sort of an interesting moment, I thought.
Yeah, and you could see in the body language of Justin Trudeau that he did I wish I wasn't. I don't want to hear that name during the debate. And the other thing that we have to say about the debate, and this is very important, although clearly it would have been better if there were more women in the debate, but the parties choose their leaders, not the Canadian populace. But if there were more women, the debate really was a showcase of diversity for Canada. And I think that's important. I watched the debate, and you know what? When we look at the debates, national debates in other countries, in France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, they're fairly monotone. And I think as Canadians, we should be proud that there's much more diversity at the top compared to a lot of other countries. But when Enemy Paul said that there should be more women on the stage, she's bang on, absolutely right.
Nik, so not at the debate was People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier. He did not make the cutoff to get on stage, but his supporters were protesting outside the debate area. The People's Party of Canada, they seem to have an increasing presence in your polling. Can you talk about that a bit?
Well, think of it this way: on August 12th, the baseline, they had 1.9% support. Now in our tracking, they have 5% support. But the interesting thing, Michael, is that support there's not a lot of support in Quebec, which is ironic considering Maxime Bernier is based in the province of Quebec. That support is in Ontario and the prairies primarily, and a little bit in British Columbia. And it speaks to the fact that he's touched a nerve. So think of it this way: 1 out of 20 Canadians would, if an election were held today, would tick the People's Party of Canada box, and they're protesters, and that party is punching above their weight. It'll be interesting to see whether they can deliver on the support that they have and is seen in the polls.
Nik, you just mentioned that they're not as popular in Quebec as they are out west, but what else do we know about the demographics behind the supporters? Do you have any other insights?
Yeah, it's actually the profile of the People's Party, and we have to say, and I know Maxime Bernier would probably not refute this, that the People's Party is a populist party, right? And has been molded in that kind of populist theme. And in our polling, at least, when we look at the demographic profile of individuals that are more likely to vote for the People's Party, they tend to be male and they tend to be younger. That's the same type of thing that we see in other countries. It's young men, many of whom might be trying to, their first job, think that the world's against them, are more likely to turn towards these populist style parties. So we see that same international trend in Canada in terms of the demographic for these populist parties being younger and more likely to be male.
Now, if you're Conservative leader Erin O'Toole and you're really trying to get ahead of the Liberals, are you concerned of any potential vote splitting if some people are voting for the People's Party of Canada?
Well, if you're Erin O'Toole and play fantasy politics and you'd say, what would the world look like without Maxime Bernier? No, seriously, right? You're like, man, if those folks weren't there, if you add, if the People's Party is at 5% and the Conservatives are at 33%, you put the Conservatives into majority territory at 38. It'd be like 38-31, which would be potentially a conservative majority government. So they're a factor because every single percentage point counts. And in some of these races, if the Conservatives are split, and even if the People's Party in a local race gets 5, 6, 7%, even 3%, it could make the difference in a close race with the other parties.
And on the other side of that, we've got the NDP. I imagine there's quite a few ridings where Justin Trudeau might be sweating, considering NDP support, and he was going after Singh a lot in the debates. Is that a real concern for him as well?
Absolutely. The thing is if the NDP continue to hold their numbers, if they can hold on to 20, 21% support, it's just going to be mathematically very difficult for the Liberals to win a majority government. They can still win the election, but it'll be harder for them to win a majority government. And I think we saw a little bit of that at the end of the campaign, where Justin Trudeau was interjecting with Jagmeet Singh and basically trying to tell people, if you want to stop the Conservatives, there's only one option. It's if you're a progressive voter, and it's the Liberals.
Nik, as always, thanks very much.
That was fun.
And where can we find you?
On Twitter at Nik, Nik Nanos, or visit www.nanos.co.
And I'm also on Twitter at Michael Siddle. You can also hear more about the debate. We have a full recap and fact-checking and analysis at ctvnews.ca. Thanks for listening.